You are now listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to another lap of the Extra Mile for today, November the 10th, 2022. And ladies and gentlemen, this is always the bittersweet episode of the year because the championships have been handed out. The cars are going back into the garage, and it is time to say goodbye to the 2022 racing season. Thank you for welcoming. Thank you for coming in. If you are in the chat, make sure you get your comments in. I'm going to bring in my co-hosts in just a moment, but before that, we do have to talk about and give remembrance to a serious tragic situation that happened after the Xfinity Series Championship, which was won by Ty Gibbs on Saturday. And I know people love or hate Ty. Well, actually, they hate Ty Gibbs right now. But during the evening hours, Coy Gibbs, Ty Gibbs' father and one of the head honchos over there at Joe Gibbs Racing, passed away in his sleep from natural causes at the age of 49 years old. Ty did not race in the Xfinity Series, or in the Cup Series race that day. He was replaced by John Hunter Nemechek, and Coy was one of the focal points of the team. He really stepped up in the managerial role, unfortunately after the tragic loss of J.D. Gibbs, also at age 49, which for the entire Gibbs family, everyone here at IE Sports Radio and the Extra Mile gives our condolences, and just to have to bury both your children. The Lord works in mysterious ways, so we know that that's usually not how it's supposed to work. It caught everyone by surprise and shock, and the entire NASCAR world is saddened. And before we go on, we're going to have a brief moment of silence. Thank you. We'll go ahead and get into this season finale show, and I will welcome in my co-hosts. First, we have Michael Ward and Christopher Lehman, of course, with us. Gentlemen, say hello.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Michael, say hello.
Oh, I was waiting for anyway. What's going on, everybody?
It's the last show. We're all a little bit discombobulated.
Sorry for the awkward pause, but you know, we catch ourselves.
And I'm going to welcome in our guest for this evening. This is a guy that you have heard me speak with on Dropping the Hammer with Daniel McFadden. We've been on his podcast a couple of times now. I finally got to meet this guy at Richmond earlier this season. Finally, after so many years talking on Twitter. He is one of the prime members of what we call the Bubba Gang on Twitter, and he's here to join us to talk all things the end of the NASCAR season and the rest of the racing season as well. Phil Spain is joining us this evening. Phil, welcome.
All right, thank you. Happy to be here.
Also known as Phil en Espanol on Twitter. So, boys, let's get into it. We'll talk about the championship in just a moment with Logano winning it, but we can start with the race, and we can go with Phil to start with us on this one. Can we go back to Homestead, please? I'm good on the Phoenix experiment.
Yeah. At this point, I think a lot of people are. I honestly, with Phoenix, and especially now with the new car, I mean, the spring race was great. Well, you know, it had its moments. But Sunday was just, it felt like I don't know, I guess the best way to put it just felt boring. You know, like it wasn't, you know, they'll say, oh, there was some passing, but you kind of want it where everybody is able to pass, not just a few cars or people that, you know how to drive the track with the car, but there's only so much you can get out of that car in a 60-minute practice, and that was the first time they'd had, 60 minutes all season. So, you know, to me, it was a miserable race. With everything that happened in the pre-race, I think a lot of people's minds weren't on the race as much as they were on on the Gibbs family. And, it, I don't want to say put a damper on everything because it doesn't take away from Joey's championship. But, just was a bit of a heavy day, but the racing, I don't want, it seemed to me that the racing didn't do much to kind of, I guess amplify the experience of it being at Phoenix. What a couple years ago when Chase won his championship, it was a good race. And I guess in a way last season when Larson won, it was good too. But if this
and I think a lot of that has to do, and I'll get Christopher and Michael in on this one. The last couple of championship races, not only did you have to win it to get the championship, the entire day, the top four in the championship would be 1, 2, 3, 4. To the point folks are talking about NASCAR put the cheater chips in the race cars or whatever. But this one, Joey Logano just beat the tartar sauce out of everybody. He qualified He qualified on the pole. Christopher Bell had issues on pit road. Ross Chastain had issues on pit road. Chase Elliott turned himself on Chastain's bumper to put himself out of it. And I'll throw this one to Christopher. It just felt like Joey Logano came in there with a mission and the other three guys choked, is really what it feels like happened.
Yeah, and you can say this about any sport. It's not necessarily just NASCAR. But when you're in the championship round, the person that's going to win, whether it be, whether it be motorsports, whether it be stick and ball sports, the team that executes with the least amount of mistakes is going to win. Mm-hmm. And even though Joey Logano by far had the fastest car over the weekend, pit lane accident would have probably derailed his day. But that team executed in every phase of the race, and therefore they deserve the championship. As you had stated, every other car, the other three had issues, whether it be on pit road or on the track. And as a result, they didn't even contend for the win. They essentially were racing for second, third, and fourth. So, hats off to Joey Logano in the 2022. The 2022 championship, but the 22 team, they executed a hell of a race and deservedly so. They are the champions.
Michael, let's get you in here. We had three drivers have the other three, you heard it, costly mistakes, take them out of championship contention. Who do you think had the biggest oof of the championship for? Or of the remaining championship for?
So I can't say Elliott.
You can.
Okay, yeah, definitely Elliott. I want to say you shouldn't really get yourself into that situation, especially early on. But yeah, that happened. He was messing around with Ross Chastain of all people, and he got turned into the wall, or he turned himself into the wall. The world will never know. Yeah, I don't think you should get yourself in situations like that early on. Another problem, I guess you could say, is Christopher Bell and pit road. It's the worst time to have a problem on pit road is literally for the championship, and that costs him dearly. But I don't know. It's just I was so used to seeing the top four running next to each other, fighting for the championship. This race, they were all spread out, and Joey basically put a hurdle on them. And it's just like I was realizing Joey was really consistent this half in the playoffs, and I really believed he had a good shot, and he showed that today.
And I think that just goes to his season, and I'll open this up to all three of you. Joey Logano was quietly consistent in a season where there was no clear favorite this year. I think from jump, with this new car and everything, we obviously did not know who was going to be strong. And then we had 19 different winners this season, which is, I believe, a record. We did not know at all who was going to be able to come home with this championship, which made it very exciting. But at the end of the day, a driver that a lot of people don't like gets for whatever reason, gets the championship because he just comes out and gets the job done by being consistent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Consistency wins championships. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, now, and to kind of bounce off of what you just said about consistency winning championships, if the championship was decided on a popularity contest, we wouldn't need to run it because, it would probably be either, Chase or Ryan Blaney. But, I guess in a way, and I thought about this too after Joey won, I wondered how NASCAR could go about marketing this championship, with a person like Joey who's somewhat reserved, somewhat not he's kind of just, a regular guy, he's just one of the guys, but he doesn't bring a lot of excitement. He gets his share of boos. People don't like when, he'll race somebody hard. It gets more anger sent his way. But at the same time, he's consistent week after week after, week and season after season. If he's not in the championship four, he's at least knocking on the door of being there. So, it's kind of like, he was consistent at the right time. Everyone would have probably thought that with how Christopher Bell had been over the last month, basically being left for dead each time and then finding a way to pull out a win to get to that championship four, but Joey came in Saturday, said he had business to attend to. He told his son he was going to get the pole and he was going to win the race. And, dads don't want to be a liar to their children. So, but, I feel like in a way, the right person, well, I don't want to say in a way, but I'd say that the right person, the most consistent person won the championship.
Yep. And of course, with one winner with a championship with this system, there are 3 losers. But I think Ross Chastain and Christopher Bell, neither of them have a reason to hang their heads. Christopher Bell had to do 2 straight walk-offs to even get in this situation. Nobody even had Ross Chastain in the stratosphere of being here. And then he pulls off one of the greatest moves in NASCAR history, which you were actually in the corner for.
Yeah.
To see. Like,
just being there for that. I took video because I was just because I normally every race I go to, I always make sure I record the final lap of the race. And I was following Christopher Bell, and I'm getting ready to put my phone down, and out of nowhere you see like this trail of dust and I guess track junk just flying up in the air. And I looked over at Sarah and I was like, what was that? And she's like, that was Ross. And I'm thinking Ross just junked his car basically because he didn't make it. And I'm like, I was upset at that. I was like, why would you do that? Unless either, the throttle hung, the brakes failed or something like that. And then as soon as like they started showing replays, it was like, oh, okay. This is this was a one of those NASCAR moments. It's going to be talked about for years. But it was just it was shocking, honestly. So
I'm still in shock over it. I know people of Twitter have talked about folks that aren't even NASCAR fans have asked them about it. even 2 weeks on. So that's really the type of thing you needed going into next season for people to remember about this sport. Now, the dull finale does not help either, or really didn't help that, but hashtag go back to Homestead.
Maybe we can start maybe they can use that footage of that for promos instead of Ryan Newman's Daytona crash. That'd be cool if we could stop using that.
Please.
He's like,
let's just make the highlight reel longer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm most pissed about over the weekend, and Daryl and Michael, I think you guys know. Mm-hmm. What the F was Michael McDowell doing when he decided to attempt murder on Alex Bowman?
Mm-hmm.
McDowell.
That's McDowell being McDowell.
I was like, I can't even tell you how mad I was. I was losing my mind.
I'm still confused.
This dude's been out with concussion for how many weeks, and then you decide to just try to murder him the first week he's back? He's just trying to send Greg Ives off with a full race.
Right. And by the way, no announcement of a suspension, so that consistency thing we talked about is going real good so far.
That started back at Martinsville.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of those things like it's a touchy thing to talk about, right? Because of Saturday evening, but facts are facts. I mean, I don't know if the champion should have been in the car by the rules.
Correct. He shouldn't have been. If they were going off of what they said, or how they plan the police things, he shouldn't have been in the car. Either that, or there should have been some sort of fine, or I mean, at least. But I mean, it's it's not even apples and oranges in this situation. But at least when Austin Hill punched Myatt Snyder, Austin got a talking to about it. NASCAR.
Did y'all see the video of that punch?
Yes.
Oh my God, Chris, you had to. It's up there somewhere. Probably.
Hold on. So who
Austin probably shouldn't have been in the car either. I don't know what was said, but Austin Hill reaches all the way back and boom, just knocks him on his butt.
Austin Hill.
Austin Hill knocked the absolute crap out of Myatt Snyder.
Yeah, apparently he had told him, because I guess Myatt was mad that I guess he had spun him earlier in the race, and he told him to back up. He told him a couple times apparently to back up, and
he just
see it.
Wow! Oh my God!
But you have to go to Austin's Twitter account so that you can see his Notes app apology, where he forgot to take the quotations off of what they told him to say in the email.
To Austin's Twitter?
Yeah, it might be up, and it might,
It's still up there. He has the quotations up from when the PR sent it to him.
I said,
I'm looking forward to meeting with NASCAR.
I'm seeing it on the NASCAR Chasm page, which makes it that much better.
Yep. He didn't. He wasn't. He was not apologetic about knocking that man out. You don't hit somebody like that unless you mean it.
Right.
I mean, he put him on his butt, but
right. But what was wild to me, because I was keeping up with the back end of that race on Twitter, and Xfinity's Xfinity Racing's Twitter page, they had posted pictures of, I guess, their crews fighting, and nobody had said anything else. And then just before engines got fired Sunday, they were like, "Oh, by the way, NBC found this video where he just, cleaned his clock there for no reason."
Yep.
And then yeah.
I like how Landon Castle comments on his tweet, "This is an instant classic."
This is a certified hood classic.
And it's the Landon Castle is verified because it's notable government news, entertainment, or another designated category. It is not a Twitter Blue verified account.
Oh wow, it's the real Landon Castle?
The real one.
Yeah, we were talking about the whole Twitter Blue situation before we came on, but this was a fun season. We had some ups, actually a lot of ups, a couple of downs with obviously the concussion issue, and then NASCAR's famously inconsistent officiating. But I think this was an enjoyable season, especially on the Cup side, which was badly needed after what happened the last couple of years of the 550 package. The intermediates are back. We got to fix the short tracks and road courses. Super speedways are always going to be super speedways. It's either going to be a crash fest or boring. There's no in between, or boring. There's no in between. But I think they are working on some changes. But what did you guys think? I thought it was an enjoyable season across all three series.
Yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable too. New car was exciting, and all the 19 different winners definitely made it a fun season to enjoy, to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that it was a great season. I think that overall, this next gen car gave us what the idea was. It did give us good racing, particularly on the 1.5 mile intermediate tracks. They definitely have work to do on slower tracks like road courses and short tracks.
And Texas.
But I think the best thing for that would be some bulldozers. And
Phil, I don't know if you've listened to this show before, but we loathe Texas Motor Speedway at this point.
Oh, you are not alone. You are not alone. Trust me.
But overall, I think it was a great season, and I think I'm excited to see what this car looks like next year. I mean, we had 19 different winners. I don't know how many different organizations won a race this season, but I mean, it was really good, with the exception of, like I said, the slower tracks. They definitely have some work to do, but everything else was just good. I think that this car overall gave us what we wanted to see, and I can't wait to see how they modify the car and adapt going forward.
Yeah, and I'd say it was a great season. It's like I've been saying, it feels as if parity is finally back in NASCAR. Like, it feels like it's now almost any given Sunday, basically. It doesn't matter who the driver is, who the team is. Everybody, with the exception of a few teams that are still lagging behind, but doing a lot. Yeah, well, and even at that, a lot of the mid-pack teams, like, you couldn't have told me that I guess Petty GMS, you couldn't have told me at the beginning of this year that we would see them consistently running, at least with Eric Jones, top 10, top 15, challenging for wins. I think the expectation for 23XI was, that they'd go out and win races. And they were able, they did get 2 wins, one with Kurt, one with Bubba. That was good. I think for me, other than for Chase, if you think about it, for Hendrick, it was kind of a wildly inconsistent year. Chase, and I'm guessing, that's who they put all the emphasis behind this year. He, I think, what did he have? 5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 5 wins. And Larson, I've been kind of trying to figure if Larson not doing a lot of the testing last year in that car kind of set him behind. Mm-hmm. When everybody was either at Daytona or Charlotte or any other tire test, or just even a next gen test. I think even when they went to Phoenix for a tire test, or at least a next gen test, he was either running the Chili Bowl or some sort of dirt race. And I don't know, maybe it was some information that he could have missed, or it's only so much that you can do with simulators and all of that. But yeah, and then even looking to see Roush basically kind of come back alive a bit at certain racetracks with Keselowski and even Chris Buescher, who won a race. So it's NASCAR. I think they are still missing something with as far as the injuries and stuff are going with the concussions and all of that. But they are completely. I think they kind of completely aced it in a way with the new car. They'll have to make some tweaks to the packages for short tracks and hopefully road courses. So, I'm excited to see how they build on this year from this upcoming season from this, the end of this season.
And to kind of build off of what you had said, particularly about Larson's sophomore slump, so to speak. I wonder if the previous generation car was a little more suited to his style. You needed a little bit more talent to run the top on those cars. It seems like these ones, almost anybody can get up there and run almost any line on the track, whereas before you really needed to have a very firm grasp on how to run the top. So I wonder if it's a difference in car, and maybe Larson kind of cashed in his one miraculous season, and maybe he turns into more of a human, so to speak.
Right.
And it's almost the only comparison that I can come up with was when Chevrolet switched from the Impala. Or the SS to the Camaro. Jimmy won in 2017 with the SS, and then the Camaro comes out, and Jimmy goes the rest of his career without a win. I know that the cars were handled different between the two body styles, and that kind of hindered Jimmy's ability to win, and he really kind of just fell on his face the minute that those cars changed. And I'm wondering if maybe we're seeing something similar with Larson. I mean, he's young enough and he's got enough time. I think he'll develop into the car, but I wonder if maybe this car really isn't suited for what Larson's strengths are in a race car.
It might. And the one thing with this car is it's harder to feel how the rear goes, because there's a lot of talking about you can't feel it step out until it's almost too late. And when you come on those sprint cars, all you're feeling is in your butt and how those rear tires are doing. And him missing that feel is probably one of the reasons why he looked extremely human. It was a true championship hangover for Kyle Larson.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that at all.
So, what were some of your guys' favorite moments from the 2022 NASCAR season? And then we're going to take a quick break.
You want me to start, or
you can start?
You can start.
Okay. Of course, probably the first time winners, Ross and Daniel, especially for Daniel, because he's just been working so hard over the last almost close to 10 years, and even getting to see him on Race to the Championship or whatever that show is, and having him explain his story, how he got to NASCAR, that was an important thing to see just how, no two roads are the same to getting, especially in the NASCAR. Let's see, of course, Bubba winning, that was great. Finally proving to everybody, hey, this is, he can actually drive. It's not just a fluke. It's not a rained out victory. He went out there in the last third of that Kansas race and kicked their asses. For me, I guess personally, everything that happened with that Kansas race and the weekend following, getting to be up close with the 2311 team and, seeing how the inner workings of a race team go, that was incredible. As far as more on track, even looking at like Xfinity and things like that, seeing Noah Gragson finally kind of show that, even though in the end it didn't pay off, but just to see him be the dominant force, kind of say, hey, I'm worthy of that next step, going to Petty GMS next season. And on the truck side, I would say just seeing more of the youth that's down there start to show their talent and knowing that, hey, we're looking at what's probably going to be, and especially with somebody like Zane Smith, the sky seems to be the limit for him. He had a cup of coffee in Xfinity, but, I think he's now, and especially with Ford's backing and everything now, he'll be, I think he's pretty well suited, to at some point he'll make it up to Cup full time, whether it's with Front Row or, who knows if, Brad Keselowski decides to step away. He could always, and, there's already a relationship there with Rouse Fenway already. So that's one of the good things. So
I think my favorite moment from the season, definitely in Cup, was the last lap at Coda. That with Ross Chastain picking up the win and just sending AJ Allmendinger into the dirt.
Bowman almost won that one.
That whole race. Oh yeah, he did almost win that one. If he could have got a better runoff.
But stole another one.
Yeah, the Hacker Man. But no, seriously, I'm so glad Circuit of the Americas got a second chance, because the first race, weather system moves in. They had just repaved the backstretch. It was not a proper show of what that track can do, and these Cup cars on the big circuit, they put on a good show. So I'm glad that happened. I think, ironically, even though I did go off on this guy, with Xfinity, the tie versus Sam at Martinsville. That was some Saturday night short track stuff right there. That was actually pretty cool that they actually got into it. Like, I want to see that. I want to see more of the emotion.
Yep.
And we saw it, definitely. I wish he'd taken
his helmet off. I was going to say, but we ended up seeing it on Sam Mayer's face.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Trucks, unfortunately, I just did not get a lot of time to watch the trucks this year because of work.
Same.
It was on Friday or Saturday, but like you said, I'm so happy Zane Smith finally broke through for that championship. Last couple of years he was second. Now he got the big chip. Hopefully he gets up in the Cup Series one day, and we'll see what he does from there. Michael, what were your favorites?
The Hail Melon, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Bell definitely getting to the Final Four. That was a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my last one has to be, Daryl, me and you, and I think Chris spoke to this guy, but I was really happy to see him make it to the Xfinity Series. I was glad to see Raja Caruth in the Xfinity Series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was glad to see him. I was glad to see him.
Some good runs too.
Yeah, he's. I hope he continues to do well. continues to maybe get to the Cup. I hope he wins a championship. I know
that'd be
that's
beautiful.
I know that's really that could be far off, but I have very much support for this guy. I follow him on Twitch. I follow him on Twitter. I follow him. I've spoken to the man. I just hope he has a really good career.
Yeah, I got to speak to him a couple of years ago, actually for a project for my master's degree. And a humble kid from D.C., he's doing great in ARCA. I'm hoping he gets a full-time truck ride here soon, and maybe some part-time Xfinity starts too. But Roger Carruth has got a lot of good going for him. And I pray that it just keeps going forward straight into the Cup Series. I mean, 2311 is trying to start a third car at some point.
Uh-huh.
But hey, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, huh?
I don't get a favorite.
Chris.
I don't get a favorite car.
I thought you did yours already.
No, and just for that,
I'm enough for both of us.
I'm gonna say that my favorite part of the season was every time we got to talk about Abu Dhabi 2021.
Oh God. Okay.
All right, get out.
All right, let's go to break.
All right, Chris is now banned from the X.
Anyway, Chris, what are your NASCAR names before we go to break?
So obviously Alex Bowman picking up his dub. That's obviously number one. Anytime your favorite driver does that, that's got to be your season highlight. Other than that, like Michael had said, Christopher Bell making such a deep playoff run. I really like Christopher Bell, particularly his away from NASCAR stuff. I like watching his dirt career. Chili Bowl season comes around. I'm watching Christopher Bell. I'm kind of watching all the Cup guys really, but Christopher Bell, he hasn't beat Kyle Larson the past couple of years, which kind of sucks. But I'm forever hopeful that maybe we'll get him this season. And then if I don't know, if I had to pick a third, I guess it would just be the emergence of competition. And by that, I mean, it's not just Hendrick, Gibbs, Penske running at the front. We saw Eric Jones up there an awful lot this season. We saw Trackhouse. We saw 2311. We saw people that we're not accustomed to seeing in the top 5, the top 10, even leading laps. I mean, Eric Jones, that was a hell of a performance. But the awesome part about 2022 is Eric Jones winning wasn't even a surprise if you were watching, because he was just up in the top 5 consistently. So by the emergence of competition, I just mean that we saw a rotunda of people in the top 5, and it was consistent. It's not like it was short tracks or road courses where someone like AJ Allmendinger, you expect him to be in the front. No, we're talking intermediate tracks where cars who did not have a shot at winning a race last year were up there running top 5 consistently. So that's probably my favorite part of 2022 was just seeing the field being brought together and the competition increased.
So now we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll get a quick preview of what's going to happen in Brazil this weekend, probably another Max Verstappen win, and talk about some of our favorite moments from the 2022 racing season in general before we close out this season finale episode of The Extra Mile. We'll be right back.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And we are back here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, here with the Extra Mile. Daryl, Christopher, Michael, and special guest Phil is with us this evening. And folks, remember, www.iesportsradio.com. Head over there for the Patreon. $5 a month gets you a shout out on all 32 of our shows. And upper tiers also give you access to iSports Radio merchandise, the podcasting university, and a chance to be on our flagship show, The Defining Moment. So thank you so much to Bay Area Raised, MLO's Great, Key to the Gate, and one anonymous Patreon user for making sure iSports Radio remains your direct feed for all that is sports. I do not know why I had so many brain freezes there, but we are back, and we have the Brazilian Grand Prix coming up this weekend. We have the sprint race and the feature race. Hate sprint races. Also have a little bit of political instability because Brazil just had their election. But as we were talking about before the show started, when does political instability stop Formula One from making a buck? Anyway.
Never. Not once.
The end of the Formula One season is in sight. And really the biggest story coming out of this is going to be in free practice, because Logan Sargent needs 24 laps to get an extra bonus point for 100 kilometers driven. He's trying to be in the Williams 2023 seat next year to be our first American in quite a while on the F1 circuit. And if he gets that extra point for his super license, he'll have 29, and then he has to finish in the top 6 at Abu Dhabi to make sure he gets his points. And also, if he continue his clean sheet that he's had for 2022 in Formula 2, he gets an extra 2 points added to his total to hopefully get him to 40 so he can get to Formula 1. It's exciting that we're on the precipice of having an American in Formula 1, but guys, I wish it wasn't this convoluted.
It's very convoluted.
It doesn't have to be, honestly, but that's the FIA.
Yep.
FIAA.
But the Formula 1 season, it's hard for me to say how that season went, in my opinion, because it started out great. And then it went back to the same old of one team dominating, which has unfortunately been Formula One since, I don't know, how old am I now? One team, Chris's team, pretty much ran away with it, and it didn't help because Ferrari's strategy was just so bad this year.
Yeah. I think Ferrari, if over the offseason they realize that there are capable people outside of Italy, I think that they'll be in a good spot next year, but that requires a change of leadership and a change of almost everybody else involved as well. You have two good drivers in Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. I think everybody but those two should be fair game for getting their termination papers. We could only get so lucky if Elon Musk would just buy that Formula One team and get everybody.
Let's stop right there.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Let's stop right there.
We'll just let Elon buy F1 as a whole.
Let's all come down here.
But anyways, that house does need to burn. And like a phoenix, success could rise from the ashes.
Or just burn even brighter.
Yeah.
But Twitter.
In the meantime, I've got my Max Verstappen flag behind me. I'm wearing my Red Bull hat. I'm going to enjoy the next couple of years.
Yes, you are.
Yep. So I'll throw this to Phil and Michael. Of the top three teams, the other two teams, who was really the bigger disappointment this season, Ferrari or Mercedes?
To me, I'd say Ferrari. And the reason I'm going to say Ferrari, Mercedes kind of told us in the beginning of the year that it was going to be a bumpy ride. You know, it was literally going to be a bumpy ride. And you saw it with Porpoise. But I was a little bit shocked at, how bad they were to start the year. And they've come on, towards the end of the season. They've had a few chances where it looked like, they've had a chance to win, and they'll, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But Ferrari is disappointing because they've had races where they are, top of the class, where it looks like they're a confident group. And then you also have the races where they're like, oh, okay, we're going to go with strategy M. And it's like, you've gotten all the way halfway through the alphabet, trying to figure out a strategy that's going to work, or, whether it's an engine catching on fire or a pit stop that goes faulty. And it's just like they kept shooting themselves. And I think I said about something before the show started, Ferrari had a bad case reinventing the wheel only to run themselves over.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Michael, what about you?
I think Mercedes did horribly. I'm just kidding. Ferrari was terrible. And it's funny because they started out so well, only for them to fall off so bad this season, to the point where I always wondered, like, what happened from Spain without the pain to France. Like, I really just wonder what happened. Well, not from Spain, maybe to Monaco, but yeah, I just wondered what happened. They went from competent to incompetent real quick.
Yeah. There's got to be a lot that's got to be fixed for Ferrari and I think there's got to be repercussions on that pit wall because they were supposed to be, and they had at the start of the season, the fastest car and just did nothing with it. And then, of course, all the shenanigans at the end of the season. Something has got to change going forward. And I think something else has to change in Formula One as far as changing up the aerodynamics on the cars, because
I also think Ferrari should let Mercedes win so they can get that extra wind tunnel time.
What, we're bringing tanking to Formula One now?
Remember how Ferrari finished like 6 minutes behind George Russell in Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ferrari's in no place to just let Mercedes win.
Yeah, just let them win, just so you can get that extra wind tunnel time.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let them go ahead of you in the not win the race. I was going to say.
Oh, no, we're not winning anytime soon.
I was going to say, my gosh.
Which is funny because at the beginning of the year, we were winning by quite a lot. Now it's just we're the third fastest car on the grid.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Ferrari. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I think they accidentally got a Fiat instead of a Ferrari this year.
They had a Ferrari. I don't know.
They did, but
happened. I don't know what happened to it.
Whatever happened in Mexico, my God, they need to undo it.
They're going to go strategy E for evil.
Yeah.
Evil.
They were on strategy, I think, strategy E on like lap 7. I think that's when they played the audio. Strategy E, confirm.
Like, what? Why are you all the way down at strategy E already?
There should be strategy A and B. 1 stop, 2 stop, or 2 stop, 3 stop, depending on the race. That should be the only strategy you have.
Their blunder will be talked about for years. That is just how bad that was. So
that was a tank. I mean, the Titanic didn't sink that bad.
Yeah, like I always said, I wonder what the hell happened between Monaco all the way up to France.
And the worst part is that Binotto bought himself another year with the Red Bull budget thing. I know I think we all know in the bottom of our stomach he's not going anywhere because he just blamed this whole season on that.
It was the cost cap. No.
Yeah, that's all.
Just can't.
He's going to wait his way into another year, and I think we all know it.
Wait, you're saying Binotto's just going to blame the cost cap on him losing?
Yeah,
no,
I think so. Because he refused to accept responsibility at any point this season. Bro, if you listen to any interview,
you don't need to be a mathematic genius to know that you fucked up this championship. So,
and there's another one for the jar.
Yeah, gee, Michael.
I know you're not talking.
I've only dropped like one F-bomb on this show in 2 years.
Lie again. Anyway. It doesn't
I'll make it 2 real quick, Michael. I'll make it 2.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop filling the swear jar.
It really doesn't take a mathematic genius to know that he really screwed up this championship. Is it him or is it the pit wall? I'm not in Maranello, Italy, so I cannot tell you, but somebody messed something up in the numbers, in the development, somewhere. Also, I think they need to let Leclerc and Sainz pit their own engineers because they do not like their own engineers for some reason.
No, not at all.
The only way Ferrari has a chance next year is if the Tifosi crowdfund Hannah Schmitz's salary.
Okay.
And they just give it to her in cash. And the Italian government makes some sort of special tax-free loophole for her. Right. That's the only way Ferrari gets a win.
No, another way
for Ferrari, it's like no.
Another thing they need to do is hire outside of Italy.
Well, that's not likely.
I mean, if it worked for Schumacher, it might work again. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They'll go get Mick.
Oh, gosh.
No, we don't need Mick.
Don't stunt his development.
I see
where
Mick.
Mick's going to go next year.
I see Mick in the
hyper Formula One.
I think it'll just stay at Haas.
I think Mick is going to the hypercar program. Honestly, that would be a waste if he didn't.
I'd be fine with that.
Mick's going to come drive the 41 for Stewart Haas.
Not if Tony Stewart has anything to say about it.
Yeah, Stewart Haas that barely got a win this year.
Yep. That team was another one that was on the down slope. But with the time we got left here as we roll on, we had a lot of good racing this year. I think thinking back to the Indy 500 and just Marcus Ericsson pulling it out, starting a brand new decade of incredible IndyCar Indy 500 finishes with the duel down into turn number 1. The Le Mans 24 was a lot of fun in the other classes. Yeah, Toyota ran away with it, but Toyota didn't have a choice on that. What were some of your guys' favorite moments from some other series this year?
Other than Formula One?
Yeah.
I gotta say, probably. I always look forward to the Rolex 24. It's the event that kind of signifies racing is back. So I enjoy it every year. Le Mans was also another good race. Yeah, Toyota ran away with it, like you said, but it is the 24 hours of Le Mans, and it's a very, very special event. Is it more special than Monaco? You guys can be the judge of that, but multi-class racing is just insanely fun. So those two were my favorite races of the year.
I know it's uniquely my hot take here, but I think that as far as prestigious motorsports events go, as much as I know people hate Monaco, I mean, if you're thinking of a prestigious race, I mean, the Monaco GP's got to be. Everybody thinks of the Monaco GP when you talk about, prestigious races, even non-race fans. But that aside, I think that, if we look outside of NASCAR, which we kind of already talked about, Formula One, which from as a Red Bull fan is probably rather obvious what my highlights from the season are. I would have to say that, and as a lot of people here that listen know, I like V8 supercars. So just seeing Scott McLaughlin continue in Indy and doing really good over there this season, picking up some dubs and doing really well in the championship standings. That is probably my non-NASCAR, non-Formula One favorite thing from the season was just was seeing him continue to find success, because he did rather well last year as well. But yeah, that would be mine. It would be obviously Max's success, Scott's success, and then what we kind of already talked about NASCAR.
Yep. So the 2020. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
Oh well, for me on my end, like Chris said, basically Scotty Mac taking kind of showing everybody that he's going to be a force, especially in IndyCar for the next couple of years. I'd love to see him get some chances in other racing, whether it is like IMSA, or even if he comes and runs a cup race, on a standalone weekend away from, when IndyCar is on a break. That, and I'll say too, like the Rolex 24, I enjoy always staying up late, to see what goes on in the middle of the night during that race, and just how, there are other fellow night owls on Twitter that take in that race. And also, I know it's not as big of a racing series, but, going and seeing SRX, I finally got to see one of those races up close when they raced at South Boston, and just how much love, the fans show, the drivers that maybe we grew up watching on TV, get this second chance with some of today's contemporaries that'll come and run a race. So it was special, and see guys like Bobby Labonte or Tony Stewart, or and even seeing Michael Waltrip run up front in one of those type of cars, showing that he still has something left in the tank. Those are things I'll really remember from this racing season. And I know it's kind of silent, but before we know it, it'll be time for the Rolex, or even dirt stuff is still going on, but we aren't far away from hearing engine noises. So
we also had a lot of. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Okay. We also had a lot of fun on the water. H1 Unlimited had another great season. Jimmy Shane ended up picking up the championship. His last National High Points Championship, as Jimmy will be stepping away from driving duties next season. And there's a lot of excitement over there. A lot of boat owners are going to be coming back out onto the water. There is huge speculation that we will be racing back in Detroit for the Gold Cup once again, which for H1 Unlimited, that's basically them going back to their Darlington or Daytona, just how big that course means to the sport of hydroplane racing. And there hasn't been a lot of racing on the Detroit River in the last couple of years, but it looks like it's coming back. That's going to be exciting. Also, in the Hydroplane Racing League for Grand Prix Hydros, Andrew Tate and the Steeler ran the table this season in final heats. That team was just absolutely incredible. We had a lot of fun racing on the water, on four wheels, on two wheels, and On rolls 2023, we've got the GTPs coming. Obviously, IndyCar is going to be great. There's going to be changes to NASCAR. Formula One should be better. We'll see. But this is the part of the season, or the part of the off season, where everything just gets exciting and you just start counting down the days. Not that Andrew Tate, Michael. I just saw the message in the chat. No, not that Andrew Tate.
You sure?
Yeah, this one did not get banned off the internet.
I had to make sure. Oh, forgive me.
Yeah. Larry B has also joined us in the chat. Good evening, sir. He had some, I don't even remember when these comments were from. We were having such a good time. But he did say the drivers were all over the place for that move at Martinsville. I said that a little bit earlier. That was crazy, what happened at Martinsville. But no, it was a good season. I cannot wait till 2023. And we start off with a banger because we have the Rolex 24. We're going to have 10 GT prototypes out there. And that class, it's going to be a great prelude for what's going to happen in 2023 at Le Mans, the 100th Le Mans. It's going to be incredible.
And NASCAR will be there too.
Yeah, a whole
Yes.
stock car will be there.
Yes.
What are we thinking about Garage 56? Like, how do we think that car is going to do?
It's gonna win the race. I'm just kidding.
We're thinking Hendrick's cheating. Hendrick's cheating.
It's them cheating sheriffs.
They put up
Hendrick's always cheating.
Hendrick's always shooting.
Well, they'll at least be out there with those cheating Yoders.
Yeah. And actually, what I was going to say to you guys is kind of a memory that I forgot that I had, or kind of like a highlight of the season.
I swear, if you make a joke about Toyota right now.
Okay, never mind. No. No, how about Kimi freaking Räikkönen at Watkins Glen?
We did not talk about that.
We didn't even talk about that. That was such a fun moment to actually see him out there. Unfortunately, he got caught up in the Ross Chastain,
Austin Dillon, right?
Austin Dillon thing, but he was doing such a good job. I hope he comes back. It's hard to tell with Kimi what he's going to do, but I would love to see him at least come run the road courses in NASCAR.
So
I hope he messes around and comes back, and other drivers come for Project 91.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you guys? So if you guys right now, if you could pick, and let's just say, realistically, we're probably not going to get a guy in a Formula One seat in the Project 91 car.
I mean, who knows?
But who would your top three people be to run Project 91 next year? And for the sake of argument, do like for me, Max would be there, right? So let's do like one unrealistic and two realistic.
Lewis, I would love to see him come do it.
Yeah.
Given that this guy doesn't have a ride, I think this is too unrealistic. Daniel Ricciardo, we know he loves America. He should come give it a couple of tries. And from IndyCar, I would really love to see Scott Dixon. Like, I would really love to see Dixon come do it.
What about you, Phil?
Let's see. Well, of course, the unrealistic would probably be Lewis. But the realistic one, yeah, probably somebody like either Scotty Mack, but, well, I mean, because Penske runs Chevrolets in IndyCar, right? Yeah, so that could, because I know Penske's all about his branding and being Penske perfect. So,
yeah,
I don't think he would. Well, I don't know, because he has that relationship with Ford in the Cup Series, so I don't know. But yeah, somebody like a Scotty Mack, a Scott Dixon, maybe a Tony Kanaan. Yeah, somebody like him, at least to give that one go, just to see him in a Cup car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Because everybody else I'm thinking of probably has at least tested a NASCAR race car. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Michael?
Unrealistic, but I think it would be cool. And also, I can just see him doing it. Max Verstappen. My two realistic ones I would like to see are Jordan Taylor and another realistic one. It's very realistic, but I would like to see Ricardo come to do the road courses.
Yeah. Oh, and another one I would think too. I can't think of his first name. I know his last name is Kobayashi, I think.
Kamui
Kobayashi?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kamui Kobayashi would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think he probably would. Well, and I mean, we all say, the best racers in the world, when they come do NASCAR, they're like, people they won't be able to keep up. But I think he'd be able to keep up, most in the same way Kimmy was keeping up and handling his own until he got into the accident. So,
yeah. My my unrealistic would probably be Max, obviously. And then my two realistics, my first one would be Shane Van Gisbergen from
Van Gisbergen?
Yeah.
I don't know what you said, but it didn't sound right.
Oh, maybe it's because I've had a couple beers.
Cats out the bag.
Yeah. So, but you guys know SVG would be probably my top realistic one. And then I'm not going to say Daniel Ricciardo because I still firmly believe that he should be running Xfinity with Dale Jr. That's a hill I will die on.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to come run an Xfinity season with Dale Jr. But my other, I don't even know if I have another realistic one, to be honest with you. It'd probably be Scott McLaughlin. Yeah, probably that, or probably just him.
Yep.
Just
I think my other favorite moment of this year was getting to go to the Virginia Nats with Miriam earlier this year, and that was a lot of fun. She'd never heard those cars in real life, so the first pair of funny car goes down, and she about jumps out of her skin.
Jeez.
If you're listening, sweetie, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was a lot of fun getting to take her. She got to go to her first NASCAR race as well at Richmond. That's where we met Phil and Sarah and everybody. That was a lot of fun getting to see y'all and getting to see the race there. And I don't know what our 2023 plans are as far as race watching. We have a lot of stuff we got to get ready for in 2024 and beyond. So,
well, as you guys know, and Phil too, everybody's welcome to come up here and stay 30 minutes away from Watkins Glen. So,
oh hell yeah!
If anybody wants to come up this way, you've got a place to stay.
That's an agenda.
Because I live 35 minutes from Watkins Glen.
That's definitely awesome. An agenda for the years to come.
All right.
Whether it's the 6 hour, the NASCAR race. I mean, I want to go to the 6 hour. I haven't been to the 6 hour yet. But yeah.
So we're going to get ready to close out. Unfortunately, I had a back-to-back weekend. Y'all know I'm a reporter for the day job. So Tuesday was a good day. Wednesday, not so good, but it's been long. So I can feel the energy starting to run down. So I'm going to go ahead and get us ready to close out. Phil, thank you so much for joining us. Do not be a stranger in 2023. I'd love to do this again sometime. And
hey, Chris, you just called me, and I'll be there.
All righty.
One more question before we go. Mm-hmm. So, and this is real easy. So, does anybody or everybody here watch the Chili Bowl?
I try to.
Yeah, I try to. Yeah.
Okay. So, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, who do you guys think finishes better this year? Now, Kyle Larson's obviously won it the last 3 in a row, but Christopher Bell won like 4 in a row before that. So who do you guys think finishes better, Kyle or Christopher?
I think Kyle. He just
Kyle.
has it on dirt right now.
Yeah, I would probably say Kyle, but I'd have to look at Christopher's stats for this year. So,
What about you, Michael?
I'm going with Bell. I'm a Bell fan now.
Yeah. Christopher
Christopher
Bell probably
Bell
would have fought
enjoyer.
Kyle last year, but he flipped. So he got up a little outside the groove, took a tumble, but he was catching Kyle for sure. So I'm going to go with Christopher. So it looks like we got a 2-2 split.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done, Daryl.
No, you're good. So I just want to again say, Phil, thank you so much for joining. Chris and Michael, thank you so much for being here all season. It was a lot of fun. And now we set our sights to 2023. We will be back January the 19th, 2023, because that is the week before the Rolex 24, our traditional start date, for the next season of the Extra Mile. And between there, of course, you can catch us on Twitter. I'm at DKJunior12. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Phil's at Phil en Espanol, so make sure you check him out. And Michael's at Michael_Wart25. Make sure you listen, keep it locked to all of our social media pages for IE Sports Radio on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course on TikTok. We're going to have that rocking during the off season. If you missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, make sure you listen to the YouTube repository, which has a backup of literally every episode we have ever done for the history of the network. So, for Michael, Chris, and our special guest, Phil Spain, my name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of The Extra Mile. We will see you in 2023 for the next green flag. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.